What's going on, Giants fans? In today's show, we're going to break down day one of Giants' mandatory minicamp. But the biggest news coming out is Daniel Jones has been cleared for contact to participate in full contact drills after the neck injury last year where he missed the last 6 games of the season. So let's show Daniel Jones some love. This is a soldier. He's battled back. He's played through injuries. So type 8, his jersey number, in the comment section. Let's show DJ some love. Type 8 in the comment section. Welcome in to New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. And in today's show, we're going to go through some day one takeaways coming out of Giants' mandatory minicamp, which they got rolling today on Tuesday, June 7th. This was their first practice, and they have 2 more. They're going to be practicing on June 8th as well as June 9th, and then this portion of the off-season program will shut down. Some big news coming out. The Giants, I guess bad news, I wouldn't call it big news. I mean, it's important, but the Giants had 17 players. They were in red non-contact jerseys. There's a lot of players, a lot of key players that were wearing those jerseys. Pretty much, they weren't healthy enough to be full participant in full contact drills. But the best part is the Giants, they had 100% attendance. Nobody was missing. Kadarius Toney was there, so nobody will have to get fined. But let's get right to the takeaways. The biggest one was the defense got the best of the offense on day one. And that's going to happen when you implement a new offense, a new offensive coordinator, a new offensive line coach. It's just easier to get ready to play defense because you're reacting on defense, whereas on offense, you're dictating the pace. You're running plays. But look, Wink Martindale was on full display at Giants minicamp. He was blitzing. He was having the defense line up in all different types of formations and schemes. Players that usually don't line up in those positions, like Julian Love, he was playing linebacker. Ellerson Smith, he was dropping from defensive line in the edge rusher spot into coverage. Wink Martindale is an exotic play caller when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, and that was what gave the Giants offensive line trouble today. There were a whole bunch of blitzes that were being called. John Feliciano said Wink Martindale was doing Wink Martindale things out there. When you have a new offensive line, you have a new starting center, you have Shane Lemieux coming back from a patella injury, you have Evan Neal at your right guard spot, you got Mark Lewinsky at your Evan Neal at right tackle and Mark Lewinsky at right guard, and there's a communication and trust factor that you have to work through. And when Wink Martindale comes out on day one and is bringing the house a lot of zero blitz situations, that's going to put a young offensive line that doesn't have a lot of chemistry and cohesion to the test. But that's what they got to go through to get ready to go. And look, Daniel Jones didn't have his best day, didn't have his worst day, but he also really didn't have any of his weapons out there. Andrew Thomas, he was wearing a red non-contact jersey. So was Kenny Golladay, so was Kadarius Toney, and so was Sterling Shepard. So this Giants offense was missing 4 of its top 6 players on that side of the ball. And at the end of the day, when the offensive line is struggling and the starting receivers that are working with Daniel Jones are C.J. Board, David Sills, and Richie James, it's going to be tough on Daniel Jones. And he even talked about it. He said, we need Kadarius Toney out there. He was asked by the media, Daniel Jones, about how important Kadarius Toney is. This is what he had to say. He said it's huge to have him. And the times he was out there last year, you saw what he could do and how special he can be with the ball in his hands. I think that adds a lot to our offense to have him out there. We need him. I think he's done a great job in meetings. He's done a great job in picking it up and learning the system. He can be a special player, and we will certainly need him. He gives us a special element. But honestly, I'm a little bit concerned at the fact that Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard have not participated in any portion of the offseason workouts due to injuries. They've been wearing those red non-contact jerseys all offseason long. And these are important reps for Daniel Jones. He's going into a make-or-break season. And the fact he's having to work with C.J. Board, David Sills, and Richie James over the big-time players that are paid the big bucks on this team, that's concerning for me. So I want to leave it up to you, Giants fans. Are you concerned about the playmakers missing off-season practices? Scale it from 1 to 10. 1 being, I'm cool, it's the off-season, I'm not worried. Or 10, you're worried. This will be the pinned comment. So while the YouTube ad rolls, go down, scroll down, and answer this question. Biggest takeaway number 2. Some of the rookies were making plays. And that's what you love to see in these off-season workouts. When the young guys come in that you don't really know a whole lot about. Yeah, you watch some college tape. I did the same. But to see them in Giants blue already making plays is a good sign for Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll in ways to implement them into this team. The biggest one was Dane Belton. He was used in a multitude of ways on this Giants defense on day one of minicamp. He was used as a linebacker, as a big slot corner, and he was blitzing and getting after the passer a whole bunch. He would have had 2 sacks on Daniel Jones in 11-on-11 situations. Dane Belton, to be blunt and be honest, he could be an immediate impact player for the Giants for the lack of numbers the Giants have at the safety department. After Xavier McKinney and Julian Love, it's a question mark. You got Dane Belton. You also have Jaron Reed, who was switched from a corner to a safety. Then you have the undrafted free agent Yusuf Corker out of Kentucky. And we know Martindale likes to use a multitude of personnel in situations, and he likes to deploy 3 safety systems. So you could see a lot of Dane Belton, Julian Love, and Xavier McKinney all on the field at once. Everything I've heard about Dane Belton so far checks out, and I'm excited to see what he can do this year on this Giants defense. Takeaway number 2, Daniel Bellinger, arguably the guy that's going to be starting at tight end for the Giants, made some big catches. I saw a couple beat reporters on Twitter talking about he had one of the best plays of the day on offense. But he did have a drop over the middle, and that's going to come. Bellinger wasn't really asked to be a receiving tight end in college. He took advantage of his opportunities. He was a good red zone threat. But for him to come in and already display good catching ability and chemistry with Daniel Jones, I'm not worried about one drop. As a 4th-round pick, it's going to be exciting to see what he can do for this Giants offense. The last takeaway I had, and this one got me going, man. I was extremely excited to see this. After the offensive line had somewhat of a bad day with Wink Martindale's defense and having to block all these exotic blitzes, Evan Neal took it personally. He stayed after practice, was one of the last people off the practice field, and was running sprints, wind sprints, by himself. Evan Neal was just picked number 7 in the NFL draft. He's agreed to a 4-year of multi-million dollars that's fully guaranteed. But the fact he's willing to stay after practice and run sprints shows you the type of guy he is. He's a grinder. He's someone that wants to be in the trenches, and I'm glad he's going to be on this Giants offensive line for a very long time. I also want to ask you guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go and do that, because we are less than 500 subscribers away from 10,000. Man, I remember, what was it, just a couple of months ago, we were trying to get to 6,000, then 7,000, now we're trying to get to 10,000. And if you're like, Marshall, why would I subscribe? Because we put out daily videos around the latest Giants news and rumors. We're breaking down day 1 of Giants minicamp. It's the offseason, and we're still talking Giants football. So if you love the New York Football Giants, tap in right now. Go hit that big red button. And you can also find more Giants content over on Rumble. Rumble.com/NYGiantsTV, a very similar app to YouTube, but a little bit more edgy and uncensored. So if that's something that's more up your alley, you can go follow us over there, rumble.com/NYGiantsTV. I'll have the link to that in the comment section and description of this video. Takeaway number 3, Saquon Barkley looked like the Saquon Barkley of old, and he was making plays in the receiving game. It's something we've talked about on this channel all offseason long. Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka have said it. They are going to use Saquon Barkley as a weapon. And even on the outside, he's going to line up at receiver. They're going to do everything they can to get Saquon Barkley the ball in space, because that's what you do with weapons. You get them the ball and you let them work. We know this offense under Kafka and Daboll, they're going to run a little bit more spread personnel. They want to play with speed and space. And if you can get Saquon Barkley lined up on a linebacker on the outside, good luck. I'm expecting a big year for Saquon Barkley in the receiving department, like he had in his rookie year when he had 91 receptions. 15 total touchdowns, average 5 yards per pop on a carry, over 1,300 total yards. But it's the number I want to focus on the most is 91. 91 receptions. I think he's going to get back to being used as a full weapon. Dumps out of the backfield, running little arrow routes out of the backfield, wheel routes, motioning from out of the backfield to out wide as a receiver. I mean, in his first 16 games, he had 91 receptions. Shout out to Eli Manning for being a check down artist. But in the next 28 games, he only had 99 receptions. I'm expecting a big year from Saquon Barkley in the receiving department as I am on the ground. But let's play a little game of over-under. Put your hats on and predict the future for me, Giants fans. 65 catches for Saquon Barkley this year. Over or under? Let me know what you think. Type O for over or U for under. The last big takeaway I had from Giants OTA or minicamp of day one is that Kayvon Thibodeaux, unfortunately, was in a red non-contact jersey, and so was Aaron Robinson. Two players, they're going to be asked to do a whole lot this year for the Giants. Thibodeaux, number 5 pick, he's going to be expected to be a double-digit sack guy. I mean, Azeez Ojulari came in after being a second-round pick and getting 8 sacks, but he's still nursing that leg injury that happened during OTAs. He kind of fell a little bit, got a little bit rolled up on. Brian Dable said it's nothing to worry about. Thibodeaux was actually running and sprinting and working with trainers on his dip and rip and his swim moves and pass rush moves on the other side of the field when the Giants were going through 11-on-11s. I think it's just precautionary for him not being in contact situations. Look, you just picked him 5 overall. He's dealing with injury. Let him get back right. I understand, and I agree with what the Giants are doing. Aaron Robinson, he was limited. He was wearing a red non-contact jersey. He participated, though, in some individual drills and some team drills, but he needs to be on the field because right now, he's going to have to be the Giants' cornerback, too. And last offseason as a rookie, he didn't participate that much either. Missed like the first 9 games of the season due to an injury. He needs these reps to get acclimated to this system because he is going to have a big load, a big plate to eat off of as the Giants' number 2 corner this year. I have high hopes for him, but I want to see him on the field and get healthy. So shout out to Robinson. Hopefully he gets healthy and can get back out there and get ready for the 2022 NFL season. Another takeaway I had was Michael Jacquet, the corner the Giants signed off the streets a couple of weeks ago, was the opposite starting corner of Adoree Jackson with Aaron Robinson out. Jacquet has looked better than Maurice Kennedy and all the different Giants corners that they have brought in this offseason. That's good for him because, look, this is a thin room, and if Jacquet can continue to impress, he's going to find a way to make this Giants 53-man roster. I love talking about Giants football, and the fact we're talking about real football, in between the lines, on the gridiron, OTAs, minicamp, I love doing that. So if you guys want more minicamp videos, maybe a minicamp winners and losers video when minicamps wrap up on the 9th, type G-Men in the comment section so I can get a feel of what type of content you guys want. So if you want more minicamp videos, type G-Men so I can get a good idea of what you guys are looking for. I also want to say thank you to everyone that's made New York Giants Now a part of their day today. If you haven't yet, give me a follow over on Twitter. And everyone that follows me from this video, I'll give you a follow back. Just let me know. Hit me up in the DMs and say, yo, Marsh, I'm coming from the minicamp video.